quicker ET, she will have lane choice over Doug Herbert in the semis. Jack Ostrander will decide where David Bieneman will start. The final event of the 1995 International Hot Rod Association season, the Snap-on Tools Fall Nationals. Hello again, everyone. I'm Bob Varsha. As the saying goes, a bad day racing is always better than a good day working. Still, there's something special in the air in the pits when world championships are on the line. And that's what we have for you today here at Thunder Valley. Today, we will officially crown all of our professional category champions for 1995. Some of those titles may be more easily won than others, but we expect some to go down to the very last race of the day. And either way, it's going to be great fun to watch. So winning championships is our theme. Now let's talk a little bit about what some people are going to have to do to accomplish that. Here's Ted Jones.
Bob, it's always exciting at the IHRA Fall Nationals, the final event where world championships are decided. Now, in Top Fuel Eliminator, it was just decided all Doug Herbert had to do was qualify. He locked that up. It's another story in our other three professional categories, however. In Pro Modified, Tommy Mooney has to win one round to win the world championship. If Pat Moore goes all the way to the finals and wins, he'll be the world champion. Over in Alcohol Funny Car, a two-way battle between former world champion Todd Payton and the defending world champion Mark Thomas. And in Pro Stock, that's where the real drama begins to unfold. Behind me, the Ford Thunderbird Pro Stocker of Mike Bell, who's number 2 in the points behind Doug Kirk. And racing out of the same camp is Roy Hill, Mike's boss and teacher of the Roy Hill Driving School and our own race mechanic here on ESPN. He's driving a Ford Probe. He's number 4 in the points. He has a shot at winning the world championship in Pro Stock. Now, what has to happen for that to occur? For the exact details, let's go right now to Brett Kepner.
Well, gentlemen, here at the Snap-on Tools Fall Nationals, quite simply, here's what has to happen. First of all, in Top Fuel Eliminator, that race is done, obviously. As soon as Doug Herbert qualified for the 8-car field, that put Rhonda Hartman out of contention for winning the World Championship. In Pro Modified, it's pretty simple as well. If Tommy Mooney wins the first round of eliminations, Pat Moore and Larry Dance's Catch-22 Camaro cannot possibly make up the difference in the numbers. The two biggest battles are in Pro Alcohol Funny Car and in Pro Stock Eliminator. The Pro Alcohol Funny Car battle, a two-man war. Todd Payton in the Ultimate Pet Care Products, Osachiva, has the advantage. But Mark Thomas, the 4-time world champ of the Ethanol Performance Avenger, has only one hope, and that's that Todd Payton goes out early. If he does, in fact, lose in the first round in the unlikely event, that means Thomas must indeed go all the way to the final in order to overtake Payton. Now, in Pro Stock Eliminator, it is strictly a matter of the top two outlasting each other. Doug Kirk, number 1, Mike Bell, number 2. Indeed, whoever lasts the longest between those two should win it. But again, in the unlikely event that they go out, Roy Hill still has an opportunity. However, if Kirk wins the first round, Hill is automatically out of contention. Robert Patrick is also in a similar situation in that he must watch Doug Kirk go out at least before the semifinal round, and then Patrick would have to win the battle to overtake Kirk. Mike Bell, of course, is the stickler for Patrick, because if Bell is still in and Kirk is still out, then Patrick must outlast Bell. It gets confusing, but realistically, in Pro Stock Eliminator, it's just a matter of who ends up still being in at the very end of this thing. And hey, that's the way points battles should be working out. Bob Varsha, what are the weather stats?
Well, here they are, Brett. Did I say fall was here? Not from what you can see on the thermometer. 76 degrees, 59% humidity. We've got a light breeze, virtually no chance of rain. Perfect weather for racing here in Thunder Valley. This ESPN Speed World presentation is brought to you by Quaker State, the intelligent oil for longer engine life. And by Pep Boys. For quality parts, accessories, and service, come to Pep Boys, America's Automotive Supercenter. Now, when we return to Bristol, Tennessee, the drama in Alcohol Funny Car, which began in the first round as Todd Payton handed this man, Mark Thomas, a shot at the World Championship. Welcome back to Bristol, Tennessee, where the drama surrounding the Alcohol Funny Car World Championship began in the first round. On the left, points leader Todd Payton, preparing to meet the man on the right, Conrad Dahl. On the racetrack, Mark Thomas trying to overhaul Payton. Before the race, we asked him what he needs to do.
Well, it's a tight situation now. I mean, we're not out of it. I never say it's over until the fat lady sings and she's not humming yet. But it's one of those things that we'll see what happens. You know, this is Bristol. Anything crazy can happen. We've been here, and if there's a track that has a roller coaster hook to it, it's got to be this one. It's just one of those tracks that unpredictable as can be. So that could be in our favor, though. That could definitely be in our favor. So we're here and we're ready to go.
And now it's time to shut up and put up. Watch Mark Thomas's crew chief making final preparations for his matchup with Tony Bogolo, who could very much have been a spoiler in this championship. You ride along with Thomas with the ethanol onboard camera.
Off to a good run for Mark Thomas. He needs this. When he barely qualified and got in this field, you can see him reach up to hit the parachute, opens the chutes and picks up the victory. A 6:11, 227 now. That puts pressure on Todd Payton.
Crew celebrating, knowing they have cleared the first hurdle of the weekend, but sure to be just the first of many.
I didn't think it sounded that good. Like I was going.
It worked.
It did work. It did work. I was a little bit worried about it, but it worked.
Everything electrical off of the car. It was all Mark Thomas.
I'm driving.
6:11 it went.
Good. Now, if only Peyton goes about a 6:50 and gets beat, I'll be the happiest camper in the planet.
Unbelievable story here.
We're trying, baby. Thanks a bunch.
That put the ball in the court of Todd Payton. We asked him what he's looking for this weekend.
Just don't do anything different. Don't let the pressure get to you, because that's one of the things you can do. The first year we won the World Championship, you could see the pressure was mounting on a lot of people. I myself, you know, drove the car a little differently, probably not as well as I should have because of the extra pressure, and you just need to relax and take it on a round-by-round basis and just don't do anything out of the ordinary. Approach it like a normal event.
Perhaps easier said than done. Todd Payton rolls to the line against Conrad Dahl.
Now, Payton should have an easy time of this. He qualified number 5.
Tremendous reaction time from Dahl. .409, just 9/1000ths off of perfect, and he knocks off Payton.
Incredible. Nobody would have bet on this. You can bet Mark Thomas is happy with a 6:22.25 for Conrad Dahl. Payton has to be in shock right now. Now the reaction of Mark Thomas, delighted. He has a shot. He has to go to the final, but he could win the championship.
Gotta go 3 more. He's got to be calm. Thank you.
In a situation where you had to do everything good, you did. A 450 light, a 615 or 617, excuse me, would have won. 409 for Dahl and a 620 beat you.
Oh, man. You know, I just try and do as best I can, but...
You didn't do anything wrong in that race.
Well, the car didn't leave as hard as it should have. It just sat there and thumped away and didn't make the move we were hoping it was going to make. But what can I say? The man took me to school.
Now all you can do is sit back and wait.
Well, I guess I'm going over to see Corky, see what he can do now.
Yeah, you got to work on somebody to help you.
Great tension. And you know, the ironic thing was the roles were reversed last year. Thomas had to sit and wait for Payton to lose to see if he would win the title. We move on to Pro Modified. Our first matchup, Ed Burnley going up against Steve Johnson.
Both of them nitrous-injected 706 motors. Of course, the most popular car, Johnson's 57 Chevrolet, picks it up with a 677, 206 miles per hour.
No championship at stake there, but bragging rights are on the line, and the Fall Nationals are the one event that every drag racer wants to win. Now keep an eye on the guy in the near lane, Wayne Stott, the giant killer from Inman, South Carolina, going up against 200-mile-an-hour Bill Kuhlman.
And it looks like Stott shut down with problems. Bill Kuhlman with a 674, 203 miles per hour for the Summit Racing Equipment Corvette.
Once again, nothing at stake for Bill Kuhlman, but he would desperately like to pick up a race victory here. There's the problems for Wayne Stott, way sideways at the end of the launch pad. Now our next pair. 4-time champion Scotty Cannon in the Killer Red Demeter in the far lane. He will not defend this year. He's been officially eliminated, but now he goes up against Carl Moyer.
Carl Moyer, that Z38, the Chevrolet dealer from Agnew, Iowa, is out on Scotty Cannon. Now he shuts down. Now Cannon comes around. Cannon with a 679, and it looks like Bob Moyer had a foul.
I thought he just left Cannon. That never happens. But in looking at the electronic timing and scoring, you bet, a big foul for Moyer. And now you are looking at the newly crowned world champion in Pro Modified. This was the first round effort for Tommy Mooney in the far lane.
If Mooney beats Ed Hoover back in first-round competition, as you can see him doing handily, he won the world championship officially right there with a 669 at 208.
First man in history, IHRA, to win 2 different professional class world championships.
I mean, that definitely means a lot, you know, and I think it'll be there for a while. You don't ever know. It could happen, you know, next year or whatever. I don't know what to say, Greg. I mean, I've thought about this 1,000 times, and, you know, if I got my first round, what I wanted to say, and I don't know what to say.
Okay, then let me ask you a question. There's a rumor going around that as of winning this world championship, you had decided that you weren't coming back next year to defend it.
That is definitely a rumor. I'm going to race harder next year than I've ever raced in my life.
That's all I need to hear.
Thanks.
And that's bad news for a lot of people. Tommy Mooney, with a redoubled effort, could be brutal. Here he is now, going up in second round action against Tim McAmis, the first pro-modified world champion ever.
Tommy Mooney, 670, 209 miles per hour with an excellent 476 reaction time. That's why he's a world champion.
Well, the championship may be over, but the semis are going to be great. Bill Coolman will have lane choice against Scotty Cannon, and Tommy Mooney will decide where Steve Johnson will start. Now let's catch up with Brett in the Alcohol Funny Pits.
We don't often show you an empty space, but this is an empty space with a reason. This should be Todd Payton's clutch. And let's face it, Todd Payton isn't in this points race anymore. Scott Weiss is coming up in the next round against the man who still is, Mark Thomas. So what's Todd Payton's best chance? Help Scott Weiss. That's where their clutch is, going into the Wise Guys Mustang for the second round of competition. You don't think this is big news in the pits? Check out some of the spies that are hanging around here.
Such as the man in the white t-shirt. That's Mark Thomas. I wonder what he thinks of all this. We'll find out in a moment, because Alcohol Funny Car quarterfinals are coming up next. Back at the Fall Nationals at Bristol, Tennessee, Bob Barsha, Ted Jones, Brett Kepner with you. There is Mark Thomas, the reigning world champion in Alcohol Funny Car, getting ready to go out for his quarterfinal run against a team being helped by his arch rival Todd Payton. Now here's Brett Kepner with a track fact.
Since the introduction of nitrous oxide injection to any type of race car, including the Pro Modifies, we've seen quite a few of those serious intake manifold explosions where a valve hangs open, the spark plug ignites not only what's in the cylinder, but also the oxygen and the fuel inside the intake manifold. Well, taking technology from the funny cars, the Pro Mod teams now have this, an extra chance at safety that will keep us from exploding the front ends right off the cars, which we've done before. It showed up for the first time here at the Fall Nationals on Chris Hunt's brand new 1936 Oldsmobile Pro Modified. As you can see, it's a simple concept. Just a door that's bolted down with a hinge that allows all the pressure from an intake manifold explosion to come out the top instead of blowing this scoop and the hood completely to bits. Obviously, like I said, this has been in use in funny cars. They call it a chimney over there with a special burst panel above it. But now, this may save the Pro Mod guys some extra money when they're already blowing up $10,000 worth of manifold parts.
All right, thank you, Brett. It does add up when you have problems. Quarterfinal action in Alcohol Funny Car. There is Butch Kernodle. He was to have met Bobby Baucom in this round, but Baucom could not get engine repairs completed in time. It'll be a solo for Kernodle, and he's got his foot in it.
Well, maybe he should have put his toes in it too, Bob. A 669, 215. I don't think that'll get the job done.
This is a 6.2 second crowd. Now here comes Scott Weiss with help from Todd Payton to meet this man, Mark Thomas. You don't think the world champion knows what he needs to do? Check it out.
We needed to get past the first round. We had low ET of the round, which is wonderful. I mean, 6'11" is great. And it was also good. Conrad Dahl put out Todd Payton. We needed that to happen. We got to go 2 more rounds. I mean, we've got to make it to the final. We make it to the final, we can win the world championship. But right now, we got to go round for round. The car responded to what we thought it would do. It was an electrical glitch somewhere, and the car loved it. So we're ready to go out for another one.
In fact, Mark Thomas has taken all of the electrical aids off the car. He is truly driving by the seat of his pants, and he's got big work to do here against Scott Weiss. But Weiss hazes the hides at the line.
Then a little bit of tire haze coming from Thomas. A bunch of smoke, look, coming out from underneath that car. He may have hurt something on that engine. That's not normal to see smoke from an Alcohol Funny Car like that. Let's go inside with our ethanol in-car camera. You can see him going down. Look at the vibration as he goes through the traps, and solid white smoke. He can't see a thing as he shuts that car down.
A lot of damage on this one. But if it wasn't for luck, you got it.
We got to go. We got a fresh motor back here. We just got to do this, baby. There's no letting up now, right?
This is serious luck here because Weiss had just as many problems as you did.
Yeah, I know. It's one of them things that the motor shut off. I felt it kick the rod out, and I said, we ain't lifting because I don't see him. Let's go. So we'll be all right. We got to change the motor. Come on.
And he means we, because Mark Thomas does much of the work on that car himself. Now elsewhere in the brackets, here's Conrad Dahl, who set down Todd Payton in the first round, going up against Corky East.
Let's see if Dahl can do it again. Corky East, the number 4 qualifier, is on a pass. Corky East, a 6'12", 230 miles per hour. He's running good, and again, that little bit of telltale smoke.
Corky East is 4th in the Drivers' Championship, so he is going to want to move up. Now, Jimmy Rector's car in our next pair has broken out of the bleach box. He will be out, and so Vaughn Smith will advance to the semis to meet Corky East. East obviously will have lane choice, and Butch Kernodle will face Mark Thomas, the man on a mission this weekend. We'll be back in just a moment to Thunder Valley with Pro Stock. Stay with us. Back at Bristol, Tennessee, Butch Kernodle's Alcohol Funny car heads for between-round preparations. Meanwhile, Mark Thomas is assessing the damage on his car. Here's Brett.
The damage was significant in the second round win, and only luck allowed him to beat Scott Wise. But now the thrash is on, with every conceivable human being from every crew helping out, including engine wizard Rick Hickman. Let's face it, this is Mark Thomas's only spare block. It better work. But more importantly, it only has to win one lousy round. Because if he makes it to the final, the World Championship is his for a 5th time.
All right, thank you, Brett. I know Todd Payton's guys aren't there. They're probably working with Thomas's rivals in the next round, Butch Kernodle. Let's go to Pro Stock quarterfinals now. In the far lane, John Yoke, 6th in points coming into this weekend with a chance to move up as he moves into this quarterfinal matchup with former world champion Billy Huff.
Good start, a 4:33 to a 4:63 reaction time. Look at this race right down to the final. Billy Huff, 694, 201 miles per hour. He goes to the semifinals.
A couple of runner-up finishes for Billy Huff in something of a lean year. Now there is Roy Hill, whose team is on a bit of a roll. They won 4 straight races earlier this year before that string was broken, and the most recent race was won by Mike Bell in his bid for a world championship. Here, the professor goes up against John Montecalvo and sets him down.
Sets him down with style, a 692. He's on a roll.
He's out of the championship hunt. We'll get to that in a moment. His man Mike Bell is still in it. Let's hear how he's approaching the race.
Well, it's just another race. I mean, it's important. Of course, everybody wants to win. I want to win as bad as he does. I'm not going to concentrate on the points that much. We come to win this race. If we win this race, the points will come.
Well, I guess that's the only way you can really approach it. Just go round by round, as Mark Thomas said earlier, and the championship will take care of itself. He's going up against a bit of an unknown quantity here, is Mike Bell. This is David Jenkins from London, Ohio.
You're on board with Mike Bell. Look at him working hard to keep that car straight. Does a nice job, though. Picks up the win, 698 against Jenkins' red light start.
So Bell did what he needed to do, advance to the next round. Now here comes Doug Kirk in the near lane, going up against another title contender in Robert Patrick. Let's hear his approach.
Yeah, I feel good. I mean, last night, me and Mike went identical times in the shootout, and I was just, I didn't have a bad light. It just he had a better one, and that's racing. But, hopefully it'll come down to it today, and maybe it's my turn.
Good point. The Sunoco Pro Stock shootout went to Mike Bell last night. Right now, Robert Patrick, number 3 in points. Doug Kirk is number 1. Kirk's win in the first round eliminated the number 4 man in points, Roy Hill. Now let's see if he can set Patrick out of the competition.
Patrick was off the line first, but Doug Kirk goes a 694, 201, so he stays alive. Patrick is out of the championship competition. We'll look at that one more time. Nice lead for Patrick as he jerked the wheels off the starting line and definitely had the advantage right off the line. Now Doug Kirk beside him goes right around him when they get to the 8th mile.
It's all horsepower at the big end. So here's a look at our brackets for that tremendous battle for the World Championship in Pro Stock. Mike Bell will go up against the reigning champion Billy Huff, and Roy Hill will face Doug Kirk with a chance to be the spoiler for his teammate. Now it's time for the race mechanic. Here's Ted Jones with the professor himself, Roy Hill.
Well, we're down here in the pits of the race mechanic, Roy Hill and Mike Bell. And a lot of people have wondered about the planetary or Linco transmission. Now, there are 2 different shifter mechanisms used. The traditional lightning rod lever-type shifter and the new air-operated shifter on a planetary transmission. So, Roy, a lot of people out there are wondering, what's the advantage of the lever-operated planetary transmission shifter?
Well, Ted, in my school, I've tried everything. You know that. And we try to teach people how to control themselves mentally, physically in that car, the parts in the car. With a Lenco shifter, with a Hurst shifter, with the Lenco transmission, you can feel it shift. You can feel tower pressure. When you have a button, an air button to push, you just push the button. You never know if the transmission's slipping. So for me and the people I try to teach, a secure feeling means a whole lot beside another racer.
Would the air shifter be any faster because it's air pressure operated?
When you come to my school, you'll find out how quick we shift gears.
Uh-oh, now we're into secret time. Well, the race mechanic won't tell us quite everything that he knows. Bob?
All right, thank you, Ted. After timeout, we will return for more action in Top Fuel here at Thunder Valley. Welcome back to the Fall Nationals on a beautiful, very summer-like day at Bristol, Tennessee. Thunder Valley, the home of the International Hot Rod Association. Young fan waiting for the stars to pull into the lanes. Top Fuel is up next. Semi-final action. There is Jack Ostrander with a full aero package on his car. He'll be going up against David Bieneman. And these two have met before, perhaps most memorably, at Scribner, Nebraska, the Mid-America Nationals this summer. It was a Top Fuel final event. Bieneman with his shot at his first national event victory. He waited on Jack Ostrander, who had to make repairs. Ostrander eventually could not make the bell, and Bieneman singled to his first title while Jack and his crew looked on. A great gesture of sportsmanship by Bieneman, who said, I didn't want to win it in a solo. I wanted to give Jack every opportunity to come to the line, give the fans a show. It didn't happen then, but it's about to happen now.
A rematch, as you said, almost identical reaction times, and Ostrander has problems. Bieneman picks up the win with a 520, 264 miles per hour.
I'll tell you what, Bieneman could be a spoiler in this competition if Doug Herbert hadn't already clinched. Here's another look. Bieneman very tough this weekend.
Ostrander off the pad, and you see the motor go away right there. Pontiac Jack shuts it down.
So do you call this place Omaha, Tennessee, or Bristol, Nebraska?
Really, we've never had any luck here. This track owes me.
Went at 20, so I know you had to back it down for the middle of the day because this is the worst time of the day at this track.
Yeah, we thought it'd run a little bit better than that, probably about an 18 or so, but that's good.
This thing can win again.
We're gonna.
I'll hold you to that.
I think so, yeah. Still looks good, too.
Looking good is important when you go back to the pits after a round in one of these expensive cars. Now talk about revenge. Does Rhonda Hartman have a reason to try to knock off Doug Herbert, even though he's already clinched the championship? She has lots of reasons. Last year's Rookie of the Year in Top Fuel from South Carolina, originally out of California, Rhonda Hartman has been beaten time and again by this guy. In fact, they met a year ago at this event in the semifinals, both of them in the running for the World Championship. Doug Herbert, his car painted yellow last year, came away from a tremendous side-by-side race to beat Hartman and clinch the world title. Now, Rhonda has a chance to knock Doug off.
Well, I'll tell you, she's very fast. Don't undersell this girl, as she may well put Herbert on the trailer. He has the world championship, and she's out on him. Now Herbert goes up in smoke. Rhonda Hartman, a 518, 280 miles per hour. That is sweet revenge, Bob.
And you could see from the tire tracks on the racetrack. Watch in the left lane as Doug Herbert hazes the hides, going up in a huge burnout. Meanwhile, Rhonda Hartman running fairly straight and leaving rubber all the way down.
All that was at stake on that race was a win light, nothing more, nothing less, and that meant it was obviously pretty intense. And I got to hand it to your dad, Virgil, and the crew for not getting greedy. That was the difference. He boiled the tires.
Oh, yeah. Well, Herbert does that every once in a while. We know we have to get down to win, and, you know, that's what we just want to keep consistent, not try to get any big numbers out there. And, you know, too bad it wasn't for the championship like it was the last year. Or...
Well, it still said a lot in that race.
It did, and hopefully we'll go out and win this thing.
Now let's check in with a Top Fuel legend, Big Daddy Don Garlitz, presenting his Inside Scoop.
You know, when you're making 5,000 horsepower, you've got to be finely tuned. And to be really tuned, an internal combustion engine needs to know exactly how high above sea level it is, because that tells us the density of the air. Now, we have several instruments that tell us this position of the car in relationship to the ocean. First, we have an an altimeter. This is out of an airplane. Then we have another smaller, cheaper model, which we double check with. We have a temperature gauge, a humidity gauge, and we have an air density gauge, and then we have a computer. We take all these readings and we feed it into this small computer, and it comes up with a relative altitude. Now, to give you an example of what I'm talking about, we're actually at about 900 feet here at this racetrack. But the engine thinks, because of the temperature and the humidity, that we're at 2,600 feet. So you have to tune accordingly. If you set your car to run at 900 feet, it would be very rich at 2,600. So this is very important, the relative altitude. And that's my inside scoop for this week. I'm Big Daddy Don Garlitz.
All right, thanks, Big. Meanwhile, there's more thrashing in the pits. Once again, here's Brett Kepner.
Well, where the rocker arm used to be, there still is a problem. And Scotty Cannon decided, rather than search out the answer, it would just be a lot easier to swap in a brand new engine for the semifinal round. Let's face it, the season's over, sort of. There's still one last point to be made for the Onside Magazine Willys team.
No question about it, Brett. And Showtime himself, Scotty Cannon, wants to go out with a win. They'll start it up and head for the staging lanes. Pro Mod semis are up next. In the staging lanes at Bristol, Tennessee, Mark Thomas and Butch Kernodle talk it over in preparation for their semifinal matchup in Alcohol Funny Car. Kernodle's telling him, Todd Payton has come to visit me. There's all kinds of parts on my car that I'm supposed to use to beat you. Meanwhile, out of the bleach box come the Pro Mods, led by Scotty Cannon, the four-time world champion in the ONSAT Willys.
Well, Scotty Cannon put the big bullet in because he has to face Bill Kuhlman. Kuhlman in the semifinal round could make an upset run out of this.
Two of the pioneers in the Pro Modified class.
Cannon off the line first, a 4:71 reaction time. Kuhlman right beside him. Cannon pulls it out in the last 200 feet with a 6:74 to Kuhlman's losing 6:76. What a great drag race.
Well, that will give Cannon the opportunity to meet the man who has taken away his world championship if this guy doesn't do it first. This is Steve Johnson in that beautiful 57 Chevy Bel Air bodywork. He'll be going up against the newly crowned world champ, Tommy Mooney, who also has a Pro Stock championship in his portfolio.
The number 2 and 6 qualifiers both running 706 cubic inches of big block Pontiac power on nitrous oxide. Tommy Mooney has a whole shot put on him by Johnson, but then Johnson has to shut down Tommy Mooney 669, 208 miles per hour.
What a final it'll be in Pro Modified, the present and future world champions. Now here's Brett Kepner with all the news in Drag Review.
Well, the results are in and the winners have been determined. Now it's not the World Championships. It's the season-ending reaction time statistics. Believe it or not, it's just as important to the drivers in virtually all 4 professional categories as the World Championships because it proves who has the true ability. In Top Fuel Eliminator, the best reacting driver in the sport in IHRA, Del Worsham in the Texas Stagecoach car, who's consistently left on everybody. In Pro Modified Eliminator, nope, not Scotty Cannon, not Tommy Mooney, Brad Jeter, the rookie racer from the Carolinas, and his Ford Thunderbird had some amazing reaction times this year, and that helped him get that spot over Carl Moyer, who had led it a lot of the year. In Pro Alcohol Funny Car, Spring Nationals runner-up Todd Venny, in his few appearances, never had a reaction time this season worse than like 470, has just been brilliant all year long. Then, of course, Pro Stock Eliminator. You might wonder, who was it? Was it Kirk? Was it Hill? Was it Patrick? Nope. David Jenkins was the best reacting Pro Stock driver the entire season, and I might add, on a very consistent basis. Those are the winners of the year. That's this edition of Drag Review.
All right, thanks, Brett. There is Mark Thomas. One round, whether he wins the final or not is irrelevant. He has to get there to clinch the world title. We'll be back. Welcome back to Bristol, Tennessee. 2 of our 4 professional champions have been decided. 2 remain. 1 will be decided right now. This man, Mark Thomas, has to win this race. If he does, he is the Alcohol Funny Car world champion. If he doesn't, that honor goes to Todd Payton. Here is the view out the front of Mark's car as his crew chief, Rich Gerber, lines him up for the burnout.
And this is the most important burnout he'll face all season long. If he wins this round, he's a world champion. But Butch Kernodle is absolutely stacked. He's had all kinds of help over there. He could easily stop him.
Mark Thomas, for his part, has needed some help after damaging his engine in beating Scott Weiss.
We won, but it kicked the rods out by half track. I didn't see Scott, and I said, baby, we're going to the finish line if we can do it. So we had a brand new motor in the trailer. Everybody in the world, his crews helped us put it together. I mean, from Ricky Bowie, all them guys, all the way down to Tony Boglow's guys, to Doug Wood and oh gosh, Gary Thalacker, and I can't even name everybody, but all their help, we're ready to go. I just hope we can do it.
Well, now he will find out if he can do it. See the crewman looking at the windows. Down comes the visor. And there is Todd Payton.
Payton still looking very rejected, worried about the sound of Butch Kernodle's car. But remember, Butch Kernodle has a lot of experience, and he did qualify number 2 for this event.
At the line, the battle is won by Kernodle. He gets out quicker. Can Mark Thomas summon the horsepower to drive around? No.
Butch Kernodle, 621, and Todd Payton goes crazy.
All I can think of is a year ago when it was Mark Thomas standing on the sideline watching Todd Payton go out early, clinching the title for Thomas. And now Thomas knows it is lost. Gets pretty quiet in there at a time like this, I imagine. There's Rich Gerber on the right with the crew going to meet their man. Ted Jones is with the champ.
Well, you did it.
No, Butch did it for all of us. Like I said, I was the biggest Butch Kernodle fan, and he won a world championship about 10 years ago, and he just won one for us, so we're happy as we can be.
But let's face it, you had to get enough points to get to this position all season long.
Oh, that's right, and it's just, you know, it's amazing. It shows you the caliber of racing. It shows you the caliber of racing we've got, that we can go all season long and come down to the final event. So it's a good show. I hope the fans loved it. I know I did.
And congratulations.
Thanks a lot.
Well, as we said at the top of our program, for every winner who celebrates, there is a loser who must explain why. Here's a look at the start as Butch Kernodle hung a tree on Mark Thomas and simply ran away from him.
Ran away is the word, Bob. A 621 to a 625, beat him on both ends of the track. Right now, let's go back to our in-car with Mark Thomas and listen to his last run.
Don't tell me you hated to do that.
I did.
Why? You're here to win a race, and you've won this before.
I know that. That was why I was here. But I mean, how do you take that away from that man?
He had every bit of a chance. You only won a 21. He only won a 24.
You know me. I've been struggling, what, 35,000 years. And we got everybody. Joe Wise, Scott, you know Peyton. They were, hey, I could have run Peyton's car. I should have drove that. And I hate that. But
hey, you're in the final. That's all that matters now.
That's the only reason I'm here. And I know this should have moved us, hopefully.
That's what it's all about.
You know what this means? I got to run next year.
Butch Kernodle, 6th in points coming into the weekend. He will surely move up. Now let's see who he will meet in the final as Vaughn Smith takes on Corky East.
Vaughn Smith, who was runner-up at the Winter Nationals, has run real well this year, but not this time. Corky East, a 621, 228 to overcome the Vaughn Smith hole shot.
And as if our story needed another twist, our finalists in Alcohol Funny Car ran identical ETs. Lane choice will go to East based on a better top speed. Now we move to Pro Stock, where the World Championship is still at stake. And this man, Doug Kirk, has a shot at it. He is the points leader. He's going up against Roy Hill, and you just never know what Roy's going to produce when the money is on the line.
But one thing Roy has produced, he qualified number 2. He's really been running here. Low ET so far. What a drag race we've got going here. It looks like it will be. Doug Kirk stops the Professor. Identical 697s. The Professor ran 198. Kirk 200 miles per hour. We've got to look at that one more time, Bob.
By 7 1/1000ths of a second, Hill was out first. By 2 1/1000ths of a second, Kirk wins the race. True margin of victory, 5 1/1000ths of a second.
This thing ain't even over. You'd never know from looking at you.
Hey, that thing I mashed second, and it started shaking, and I was talking to myself, and I seen him drive us, and I said, oh, God, I'm in trouble. I was mashing them buttons, and it settled down, and we was there. And that thing just bounced, and we went on in high gear.
Let's see if you're the world champion. Stand by.
You bet. Let's find out who Doug Kirk will meet. Perhaps Doug Kirk doesn't care, because if this man, Mike Bell, is eliminated right now, Kirk is the world champion. He's going up against Billy Huff, the reigning champion, and this should be another nail-biter, Ted.
A 95 Thunderbird for Bell. He qualified number 1 with a big 810 cubic inch John Causey Ford motor against Billy Huff with that 813 cubic inch Oldsmobile. You're on board with Mike Bell. This is what it feels like to go 200 miles per hour in a Mountain Motor Pro Stock. The winner, Mike Bell, 693, 201 miles per hour.
So we will go to the final to decide our Pro Stock World Champion. Billy Huff carrying the wheels, putting up a great fight, but in the end, Bell just out-horsepowers him, overcoming the better reaction by Huff.
This is the way a points race should be. I know you don't want to have to go through it, but boy, is this exciting. I got to tell you.
It's definitely exciting for the fans. I know it is for us, too. I tell you, it's been a tough year, close. What can I say?
Final round of the final event.
That's it.
Unbelievable. Now, the good news, you got lane choice.
Well, the lanes are pretty equal right now. I don't think there's much difference in the lanes, so we'll just see what happens.
Time to grip and rip. Stay with us. 4 finals and 1 world championship to come. It is happy hour at Bristol, Tennessee. 4 drag races remain in the 1995 season. There is Mike Bell. The Pro Stock World Championship on the line will be the 4th and last. Up first will be Top Fuel. There is Rhonda Hartman, who won the season-opening Winter Nationals at Darlington, South Carolina. There is her opponent, David Bieneman, who won the Midsummer Mid-America Nationals at Scribner, Nebraska. All sorts of symmetry and irony at work on the biggest weekend of the year here in Thunder Valley.
A few last-minute adjustments being made. They'll be adjusting what's called the hat, right where the fuel injection goes down into that blower.
Notice those little front wheels on Bieneman's car. Those were pioneered, I believe, by our own Big Daddy Don Garlitz years ago.
Those are actually airplane wheels that they use on an airplane capable of withstanding speeds up to about 300 miles per hour.
5,000 horsepower and perhaps more per engine. Nitromethane fuel. Final Top Fuel drag race of the year. They are away. Advantage off the line to Bieneman.
Bieneman continues to pull close at the top end. David Bieneman, 522. Listen to this to Rhonda Hartman's losing 521. He outdrove her at the starting line.
Let's take a look at that starting line. It appeared that Hartman's car in the far lane came to life first, but Bieneman's clutch perhaps worked better. Either way, he got off the line first and slowly drew away.
When Dave Bieneman won the Mid-America Nationals, a lot of people were stunned. A lot of people also said, well, he got a single in the final. Now he had to run somebody. So now you had to prove yourself. 522 to a losing 521.
The old man. I love it.
That's exactly what you had to do.
I was afraid she was going to do that to me. They all kept telling me that you better not let her. You better not let her.
Like I said, this goes a long way to making one dream season for you.
Oh, no kidding. I've made more laps this season than in the last 2 races I did all last year.
Here comes a bunch of guys that are just as happy as you.
Congratulations to David Bieneman. Now there is Corky East as we get set for the Alcohol Funny Car final. He'll be going up against the giant killer, Butch Kernodle, who knocked out Mark Thomas in the previous round, ending Thomas's dream of an unprecedented 5th World Championship.
And you know, Bob, it's almost like we've seen the final in Alcohol Funny Car. However, it's important to East and Kernodle as they stage the cars. Corky East first off the line with a great hole shot. He continues to pull all the way down 615, 228 miles per hour to pick up the Fall Nationals Championship.
Great run for Corky East in one of the biggest drag races of the year. Clearly the far lane, Corky East moving first, and it was just too much for Kernodle to drive around. A spectacular way to end the season and a victory for East.
Decades and decades and decades of running and running and running, and you finally did it.
Finally did it. You know how many years I've tried to win one of these things, and man, it's great, and I really enjoy it.
Nobody has put as much effort into it as you. I mean, you travel all over the country, and you never give up?
Never give up. Can't give up. It's the old-timer Nationals here, me and Butch Kernodle in the finals.
I almost forgot. Congratulations to Corky East on his first national event victory. He picked a good one. Now the Dream Final in Pro Modified. The former champ Scotty Cannon against the newly crowned champ Tommy Mooney. Number 1 against number 2. What more could we ask for, Ted?
Well, Scotty Cannon has a chance to redeem a little bit of pride and self-esteem. If he could beat the world champ, maybe he could tell the world, I'm going to set the trend for Darlington next year. Right now, I'm going to win this race and show that I can beat the world champ.
One more time, a nitrous-boosted, normally aspirated car against a supercharged machine, and it looks like Cannon, is it?
Cannon ET'd him a 670 at 207. Tommy Mooney was off the line first, so Scotty Cannon made a little bit more horsepower.
Mooney away by 13 one-thousandths of a second at the lights. At the big end, the time 27 one-thousandths of a second apart, so the true margin of victory, 14 one-thousandths of a second.
I don't want to go to brag and saying we're back, but we just ain't been back all together. Now, last minute, I get to thank all my crew, man, my sponsors, all my support, my guys help me. Even guys come out and help us. They what make it go. We've had a rough year, but fans stick behind us. We'll be back. We don't plan on giving up, and maybe this win proves it to us and y'all too. We ain't giving up.
One thing's for sure, neither's the guy behind you.
No, he's tough. That's what makes racing good. When you beat him, you know you've done it.
Two great racers congratulate one another, and now it's time to decide our final world champion in the final drag race of the season. There's Mike Bell doing his burnout at work in the cockpit. There is Doug Kirk, a former world champion who knows what he is about. He has been in the pressure of a world championship clinching situation before. Mike Bell has not been there. Brett Kepner went to find out if there might be an advantage for Kirk.
You've been through this before, Mike Bell hasn't. You think you got an advantage psychologically?
No, not really. I mean, it's, you know, everybody talks to you and puts a lot of thought in your mind, but, you know, the only thing you can do is, like it's the first race of the year, just get on the raggedy edge and go for the jugular, I guess.
Well, now it's time to do that. Doug Kirk in the near lane, Mike Bell in the far lane with the Pro Stock World Championship at stake. They're away.
Remember, Bell has that Roy Hill power. Look, Doug Kirk is shutting down. Mike Bell will win his first championship.
And there's Roy Hill and the crew loving it.
Mike Bell on the shutdown. We've got to take one more look at that.
You won it! Thank you, Roy. Thank you.
Thank you, Roy. Thank you, says Mike Bell. Got him at the line, and then problems in the left lane for Doug Kirk. The Oldsmobile just began to slow.
The greatest single Pro Stock drag race in IHRA history is over. The dream came true.
It sure did, didn't it? That was one hell of a drag race. I tell you, first thing off, I'd like to say hi to my mom back in Texas. I love you. Thank Roy Hill, all the guys at Ford. It's been a long time waiting. Here's another championship. My crew, what can I say? The best I've had, John Causey power, and a hell of a lot of luck.
There's one thing you need to remember, my friend. When people look back at the world champions in Pro Stock, they'll see the name Mike Bell.
Isn't that the truth? Thank you.
And he earned it with 4 passes under 7 seconds at over 200. The season is now over. Ted, let's salute our champions.
Well, in Alcohol Funny Car, Todd Payton regained his championship in Pro Modified. Somebody finally stopped Scotty Cannon. Congratulations to Tommy Mooney. In Pro Stock, the closest finish ever in IHRA history. Mike Bell wins by only 10 points, and Doug Herbert repeats in Top Fuel.
This ESPN Speed World presentation has been brought to you by Arid. Get a little closer with Arid XX, the anti-odor, anti-perspirant that helps keep you extra, extra dry. I'm Bob Varsha for Ted Jones and Brett Kepner. It's been a great season here in the International Hot Rod Association. We'll do it again next year. Join us, won't you? So long for now from Bristol, Tennessee.